Another Tuesday, another election, another primary election. Our journey through the 2026 midterm primary season takes us tonight to the land of Lincoln, Illinois, where it is 7 o'clock local time. And that means polls have just now closed in the marquee race of the evening. That is the Democratic primary for the United States Senate. It is an open seat being vacated by Democrat Dick Durbin. The three leading Democrats you see right there. Of course, Illinois being a blue state, the winner of this primary tonight is overwhelmingly expected to become the next United States Senator from Illinois. We will be keeping an eye on that race, obviously first and foremost throughout the night, but it is just one of several competitive contests and consequential contests we're going to be monitoring, we're going to be tracking. You see here some of the marquee House races tonight. Illinois' 2nd District. The headline there, Jesse Jackson Jr., just weeks after his father, the civil rights leader's passing at the age of 84, he attempts a political comeback. Jackson Jr. had left the House in scandal in 2012. 14 years later, he is seeking to win back the congressional seat that he once represented. Elsewhere in Cook County, in Chicago, and the Chicago suburbs, the race for the 7th Congressional District in Illinois. This is a seat being vacated by Danny Davis. Danny Davis has been in the House for nearly 30 years. And again, overwhelmingly likely that the winner of tonight's primary will replace Davis in the House. In the 8th District here, this is a congressional seat being vacated by Raja Krishnamurthy as he runs for the United States Senate. Another comeback attempt, Melissa Bean. Do you remember that name? She was in the House from 2004 until 2010. She was thrown out in the Republican wave of 2010. Can she get her seat back 16 years later? And this one has gotten a lot of national attention. This is the far north side of Chicago, Evanston, into those suburbs, a fair way into the suburbs, I should say here. The 9th Congressional District of Illinois, again, a strongly Democratic seat represented since 1998 by Jan Schakowsky. She is retiring. This is the closely watched and heavily funded primary to replace her. So those are 4 House races we're going to be keeping an eye on. There are others, too. Illinois, as you can see, is a big state. So I'm going to make my way over now to what really is going to be our nerve center in this studio. So I had to start over there because if there's a giant board or a giant wall in the studio, I'm like magnetically drawn to it. So I wanted to start over there, show you some of the fun display monitors and things that we have in here. But most of the night, I'm going to spend right here. You know this well. We're going to have all the results sort of populating in here. You see 102 counties in Illinois. We don't have any results in any of them yet. I'm going to explain in a minute what we expect tonight. I'll give you a warning. This could be a bit of a slow night as these things go. And of course, through it all, I'm going to be joined on the journey tonight. All of us are going to be joined by the one, the only, Adam Naboa. Adam, how you doing?
Hey, happy election night, Steve.
Happy primary night to you, Adam. And Adam, tonight, I've also asked folks on social media today, as I say, it might be a little slow with some of the returns tonight. We really are not quite sure. But one thing you're going to be keeping an eye on, in addition to all the results, we put too much on you, I know. I've asked folks, use the chat, use the YouTube chat, share their reactions to results, thoughts they have about tonight, about the midterms. I say anything, it's Illinois. Tell me something about Illinois that I don't know that you think is neat. So maybe you'll keep an eye on that for us too.
Yeah, leave some comments in the chat. I'll be monitoring and leave some questions and maybe we'll get to them tonight.
All right, so we're going to try to get you guys involved. I say you, as I should look at you as I say that. By the way, we just got our first results of the night. Take a look. This is in the Senate race right here. This is from St. Clair County. We are down really in the right outside the city of St. Louis on the Illinois side here, and we've got a third of the vote. This is one of the bigger counties you're going to get in downstate Illinois. The vast majority of the vote tonight is going to come out of Chicago, the Chicagoland area. But one of the bigger counties downstate, especially when you get far downstate here, is St. Clair County. East St. Louis is here. Of course, East St. Louis used to be a pretty good-sized city. It really has dwindled in size, but the county still is about 250,000 people here. It has one of the higher concentrations of black residents of any county in Illinois. And so you see here the Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton, leading Raja Krishnamurthy by 4 points here, again, with about a third of the vote counted. Robin Kelly, the third major candidate here, Congresswoman, running a very, very distant third. Now,
Steve.
Yes.
One other flag here coming up in a minute.
Oh.
We'll do a hit with News Now. they're going to join us with the first results here.
Got it. Okay, so folks, if you've been watching this, you know News Now, our streaming channel, is doing it. They're in their live show right now. We're going to check in with them throughout the night. They want to come to me in about a minute. You're going to get to watch that. So I'm going to sort of set the lay of the land with them a bit when I come back. We'll talk more about this. I'll just say again in the 30 seconds or so before we got to go do that hit. This is a very interesting result because one of the key questions tonight, all of the candidates have ties right here. Who's winning down here? Interesting that Stratton gets a pretty good early number there. Well, Gotti, I think one of the things here is the polls just closed here. Most of the action in this Senate race is going to come out of Chicago and the suburbs right around Chicago. I mean, when I say most, I'm talking like 80% of the vote is going to come roughly from where I just circled there on the map. But we do have a result here from downstate. This is from St. Clair County. This is just outside St. Louis. East St. Louis is here, among other cities and towns. It's an interesting result, though, because I think one of the questions has been, if the race is competitive right there in the Chicagoland area, who's winning in the rest of the state? Krishnamurthy has spent the most money. Congressman Krishnamurthy has spent the most money on ads around the state, but at least here in St. Clair County, with about a third of the vote, you see Juliana Stratton, the lieutenant governor, who's endorsed by J.B. Pritzker, who's the governor. Pritzker, through his super PAC, has put a lot of money on behalf of Stratton. She actually does lead Krishnamurthy here, but I think it's an interesting result because it shows those two candidates here, when you get well outside of where most of the votes are going to come from, those two candidates so clearly separated from the third candidate, Congresswoman Robin Kelly. So again, I think there was a sense here in the days leading up to this vote, Gotti, that this race perhaps was becoming more of a two-way race than a three-way race. At least in this one initial result, that might be something. Yeah. There might be something to that.
It's so interesting, and so interesting to hear all of the money that has been spent in this race. Again, it is a low turnout, expected to be somewhat of a relatively low turnout primary, and yet one that has implications that are so big. And yet, when we hear low turnout, like how many votes are we expecting today, and how soon could things get called?
Yeah, I think one of the things here, unfortunately, I say here, Illinois is tends to be one of the slower counting states. So, we're keep an open mind here. We're always hoping with these things they get a little bit faster as they go along. But in terms of fully knowing how many votes were cast here and what the turnout looked like, we might not have a good sense of that until tomorrow, until a few days from now. I think what we're hoping for tonight, though, is that you get enough of the vote in that it becomes clear who's going to win these races. This race, obviously, this Democratic race for the U.S. Senate, whoever wins this, given how blue Illinois is, the overwhelming favorite to win the Senate seat in November. Also a number of congressional races here throughout the state. Again, we hope tonight that there's enough result that it's clear who's going to win those races, even though it does sometimes it can take them days to count all the votes in Illinois.
We'll see. And we'll be watching you for days then. Steve Kornacki, thank you so very much.
Got it. All right. So, again, we'll check in throughout the night. Always fun to join Gotti and appreciate them humoring us with balancing it with this. So, again, I just want to talk a little bit about the result we have here. And, again, you heard me there saying Illinois can be a bit slow with the vote counting. That can especially be true in Cook County, where Chicago is, the city of Chicago and the suburbs outside of Cook County. So let's maybe just tell you a little bit here, big picture about the sort of the lay of the land statewide and how this one initial result maybe fits into that a little bit here. So again, the three main candidates, if you're watching this, you probably know Raja Krishnamurthy, Congressman. All three candidates really have their political base right in and outside Chicago. Krishnamurthy represents a district that's based in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Robin Kelly is a congresswoman whose district, really is rooted here sort of in the south side of Chicago and then down into the Cook County suburbs. But really, we're talking about this part of the state right here. Krishnamurthy sort of represents a district about right here. Kelly's district, it actually stretches pretty far south because Illinois is a very gerrymandered state. Some of these districts are very funny. But most of the population in Kelly's district is right here. So basically, this is Kelly, right? This is Krishnamurthy's district, okay? And then Stratton is the lieutenant governor, okay? So that she's a statewide figure that way. But before she was the lieutenant governor, she was a member of the Illinois state legislature, and her district was in the city of Chicago. So again, all three with their political roots right there. Now, look at it this way. Let me reset this. Cook County right here, where Chicago is. Cook County has 5.2 million residents. Okay, this is one of the largest counties in the United States. It would be larger than like 28 states out there. Okay, so it's more than 5 million people in Cook County. Now, the population is basically split in half in Cook County between Chicago, right, and between its suburbs. Okay, now in the Democratic primary, though, there's more that's going to come out of the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago is just overwhelmingly Democratic. The suburbs are Democratic, but not as Democratic. So more of the vote is going to come from Cook County, is going to come from Chicago tonight than from the burbs. But look, this state is massive, right? There are 102 counties here. Probably 35% of all the votes that are cast in this Democratic primary for U.S. Senate tonight are going to come from the city of Chicago, right? So just part of Cook County that I circled right there. A third of the vote or more is going to come from that city. The suburban portion of Cook County, okay, you're still in that county, but you're not in the city of Chicago, that's probably going to produce a quarter of the vote statewide tonight, right? 25%. So I think between just Chicago and its immediate inner suburbs in Cook County, you're looking at about 60% of the vote. I see we got one more result that just came in here. We'll take a look at this in a minute here, but I want to just set the lay of the land before we get into it. Don't worry, we're not missing anything that's going to settle the election on the spot right here. And in fact, if we go through this, you might appreciate the rest of it a little bit more. Now, take a look at the collar counties that are right outside Chicago, okay? There are 5 counties that actually abut Cook County, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 20% more of the vote is going to come out of the collar counties that are just outside of Cook County. So 80% of the vote tonight. We think 8 out of 10 votes are going to come either from Cook County or from one of the 5 collar counties that abut Cook County. All right. The rest of the state, all of this is going to add up to 20% of the vote. Okay. So, and again, all the candidates have roots right here in Chicago. Now, the question when you get outside Chicago has been this. Krishnamurthy, he had raised like $20 million before this race even started. I mean, he's been in Congress for a little while now. He has been eyeing a statewide campaign. He's like a fundraising machine. So he brought a ton of money into this race, and he started running ads. He's run more ads around the state than anybody else. He started them earlier. He's done them more aggressively. So there's been a sense that maybe when you get outside of this Chicago area here, Krishnamurthy would have an advantage, okay? Now, one thing that has complicated that, as I mentioned in that hit a minute ago, late in the race, J.B. Pritzker, the governor, he's endorsed Stratton, the lieutenant governor. His super PAC, Pritzker's, he's a billionaire. His super PAC has poured millions of dollars in late behind Stratton here. So in the final weeks on the air, it's kind of been neutralized between these two. And Stratton has been running, a very sort of aggressive activist. The message is it's a very strident anti-Trump, anti-ICE message here. Really kind of going to the left and really kind of going towards voters. You see in some of these polls that voters want in the Democratic Party, don't like the party leadership, want really dramatic change. She's really trying to tap into that. So the question was, if in the final, few weeks of the campaign, with the money that came in for Stratton, was she getting closer to Krishnamurthy? And one way to measure that, I think, would be get outside of this area where all the candidates have a political base. What's resonating outside of there? So we showed you St. Clair County, about a third of the vote. Again, this has one of the larger black populations of any county, proportionally, of any county in Illinois. And you see Stratton there leading, at least early on, about a third of the vote right there. The other county we're now getting is McLean County. And this is interesting because McLean County is one of the most liberal counties in Illinois. This is the home. Normal, Illinois is here. Illinois State University is here. Bloomington, Illinois is here. We're also getting, as you can see, about 16% of the vote here. So it's not a ton, but it's interesting that what you're seeing is a tie between Stratton and Krishnamurthy. And again, you think about the message that Stratton has been sort of leaning into here in the final weeks of the campaign, the money that has backed that. This is a pretty liberal county politically, high concentration. There's college students here, but also high concentration of college degrees. And she's right there with Krishnamurthy here, and she's a little bit ahead of him right now in St. Clair County. So we've got results now from 2 counties, 2 decent-sized counties, well outside of that Chicagoland area, where you're clearly seeing a race here between Stratton and Krishnamurthy. And again, Kelly sort of left in the dust right here. I think there'd been some expectation here leading up to this, leading up to tonight, that just based on the money stuff we were just talking about, that might be the case. You're certainly seeing that with how Kelly is coming in right here. So again, 80% is going to come in from right here. We're in that sort of 20% outside of Chicago, outside of Chicagoland. But if it's real close coming out of Cook and coming out of the collar counties, then what happens down here is going to be decisive. And the signal we're getting, at least from these 2 early vote updates here, is that, that late money on behalf of Stratton definitely, has put her into contention in these 2 places with Krishnamurthy. Let's see if she can maintain that as you get other counties here. Again, you have St. Clair, larger black population. McLean, it's more of it's sort of a liberal, I don't want to say bastion, but you're going to find one of the more liberal electorates in the state right there. Let's take a look when you get to a place like Peoria, when you get to some of the other counties on the map here, if she sustains that. But I think an interesting beginning in this Senate race. So reset statewide, that's what it looks like with those 2 votes that have come in. We're obviously going to continue to monitor this. As we do, we're going to take you through now some of the House races here, just set them up a little bit more, what we're looking at here on the House side tonight. We're looking at, this is our headline race. Who's going to win this Democratic primary for the United States Senate in Illinois, and in all likelihood, become the next senator from the state of Illinois. The congressional races here, took you through them a second ago, but now we can dive a little deeper into it. The 2nd District of Illinois, this is where Jesse Jackson is attempting his political comeback tonight. Okay, and you can see Jesse Jackson, his main competition is expected to come from Donna Miller. She's a Cook County commissioner. Although Robert Peters, he is a state senator from the city of Chicago. He's also a significant factor in this race. And there are other candidates on the ballot here, too. Willie Preston, also a state senator in particular. But there are a number of candidates. Openings, congressional openings in a state like Illinois do not come around that often. So when they do, there's super high interest in these races. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about what we're expecting in terms of the vote here in the 2nd District tonight, because I think if you heard me at the beginning, I said Illinois is a very gerrymandered state. The Democrats control the map drawing process. Democrats nationally like to point to Texas and say, look, the Republicans in Texas, look at all the gerrymandering they did. And the Republicans like to fire back and say, well, look what the Democrats did in Illinois. I mean, they're both sort of trying to do the same thing, and that is take very big states that tilt one side politically, and they're each trying to squeeze as much as they possibly can out for their party in these congressional maps. And so what you see here in Illinois, a lot of these districts, I mean, you could probably get a sense of it just looking at this screen right here. A lot of these districts are very oddly shaped. What the Democrats essentially try to do here in the 2nd District of Illinois is it's geographically vast. Okay, a lot of this, though, is Republican territory here. I mean, you're talking about you're in Danville, Illinois. This is Danville, Illinois right here. You're like 2.5 hours from Chicago, right? This is 120 miles, south of Chicago. I mean, it's night and day between these 2 places. But so what the Democrats did was they connected this sort of, a lot of this is rural, a lot of this is heavily Republican. They're geographically expansive counties. And the Democrats basically took densely populated, overwhelmingly Democratic territory in the city of Chicago and in the immediate inner Cook suburbs. That's what you see right here. And they connected it as far south and as far west as they can, while maintaining this as a strong, overwhelmingly Democratic district, which it is. But it's a long way of saying, if you look at this whole map of this district, okay, right here, 90% of the vote in this district tonight is going to come out of this little sliver right here. That's the city of Chicago and the inner suburbs of Cook County. 90%. Everything else is going to account for 10%. So we're looking at obviously it's a very consequential race here, but we may see counties light up. We haven't really seen anything until we start to see Cook County come in here. So, and when Cook County does start to come in, we will go through some of the sort of permutations here about where each of the candidates wants to be running strong here and what that might mean. But again, just to give you a sense of it, this is a strongly Democratic district. It is a district that really is anchored in Chicago and Cook County. It's drawn this way, again, so the Democrats are just trying to draw as many districts for themselves as they can. This is one example of that. But the winner tonight will be the overwhelming favorite to win the seat in November. Take a look here at the 8th district. This is the territory, by the way, currently represented by Raja Krishnamurthy. And again, this is 3 different counties make up part of this district right here. Half of it is going to come. Okay, this is the 8th district. Half of it is right here. This is, as oddly shaped as it is, this is Cook County. This is the Cook County suburbs. Okay, this is not the city of Chicago. These are suburbs in Cook County. Schaumburg, for instance, where Krishnamurti is from, sort of one of the anchor cities here. They used to call this area right here sort of, this is DuPage County down here, you know, DuPage County into Cook County. Call this the Golden Corridor. There were a lot of corporate headquarters and things there. Anyway, in about
Steve,
25, yes.
We got Kane County on the
It popped up right next to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at that. I'm sitting here telling you about DuPage. We got Kane County. Okay, so we got half the vote in a chunk of the 8th district right here. And again, remember, this is Melissa Bean, former congresswoman. She's trying to make a political comeback. Her main challenger tonight, you see here, Junaid Ahmed. He's running to the left. He's got an endorsement from Bernie Sanders, from the Justice Democrats. He had challenged Krishnamurti in a primary. He lost, I think, 70 to 30 points. He's coming back here. So that's sort of the dynamic here. Bean has been backed by, you know, there's some pro-Israel money that's come in on her side. That's sort of the divide between these two candidates. Okay, so Kane County is interesting. It is, in this district, 25% of the vote. Sorry about that. Let me get that back. Adam, do you know what I just did here? There it is. Okay. I don't know what I just did to make that happen. So in the 8th district, Kane County, where we just got a chunk of the vote, 25% of the vote is going to come right here from Kane County. 25% is going to come from DuPage County, and 50% is going to come from Cook County. When Ahmed ran against Krishnamurti for this seat in the primary, he got blown out pretty much everywhere. His best county was Kane County. Okay, Kane County, like Elgin, Illinois is here. This has a larger Hispanic population relative to the rest of the district here. So this was Ahmed's best county when he ran and lost. And you can see right now, again, this is with about half the vote in, I should just call it in, with about half the vote in Kane County, Bean is leading solidly there by 13 points. So that's a good start for Melissa Bean as she attempts this political comeback. But again, that's one piece of the puzzle. DuPage County, Cook County, these are, you know, suburbs of Chicago here. Let's see what happens when those come in. But okay, so we do have some result there. Let's also see what that means in the race for the United States Senate. If we've got Kane County in a House race, we've got Kane County vote. Here we go in the Senate race. Okay, now remember, I was just telling you, this is Raja Krishnamurthy's district that you're seeing this in. So Krishnamurthy is getting a big number here, more than a 20-point margin over Stratton, but he's supposed to. This is the heart of his district. He's been elected here a number of times. He's done very well in Kane County. When he was challenged by Ahmed in that primary, he got about 64%, 65% of the vote in Kane County. So he's getting 53% here, well ahead of Stratton. But I do think it's notable, too, that you're seeing Stratton get 30% of the vote here. Again, this speaks to the separation that Stratton, with all that money that came in at the end for her, the separation she clearly has attained here from Robin Kelly, the third candidate in the race. Remember, we saw this outside. We saw this downstate. Now we're seeing it in the Chicagoland area as well. Stratton just far separated from Kelly. Krishnamurthy is going to want to be doing really well tonight in DuPage County. He's going to want to be doing really well, as he is in Kane County, in the northwest suburbs of Cook County. That's his district. That's where he wants to be winning tonight, winning by large margins tonight. For Stratton, I think it's more about the city of Chicago itself. Remember, Chicago's going to cast 35% of the vote. Okay, Chicago versus the Cook County suburbs. Chicago has a larger concentration of black voters than the Cook suburbs, so it's more demographically conducive to Stratton. You're seeing in St. Clair County, again, where there's a large black population. She's off to a very good start right there. So again, Krishnamurthy doing what he's expected to do in Kane. One thing we want to see tonight, obviously, Stratton, once we start getting votes from Chicago itself in Cook County, how's she doing there? We are getting also, again, these are going to be some very small counties here, but just take a look downstate. And again, remember, so little of the vote tonight is going to come from downstate. And especially when you get outside of, this is St. Clair and Madison County. This is Metro East, Illinois outside St. Louis. These are pretty good-sized counties. When you get outside that, though, in a Democratic primary, there just isn't a ton down here. I mean, look, again, we're talking about 250 votes or so right here. But just so you can see here, Clinton County, Krishnamurthy now, with that early lead here, a little bit more than a quarter of the vote counted there. about a little bit less than 20% counted here. And you're seeing Krishnamurthy leading by 10, 15 point margins here, 10 to 15 point margins here in these counties. Again, these are geographically big, right? But they are, in terms of a Democratic primary, very, very, very small, tiny in terms of the vote that they're going to produce. So that's what it looks like statewide on the Democratic side. Again, just some of Kane County here, Krishnamurthy's backyard has come in. Some vote here, from McLean County, from St. Clair County, a couple small downstate counties as well. Adam will keep monitoring that.
Yeah, we'll keep monitoring that. I do have a quick note for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking for new votes all across the state. We should note with St. Clair County that East St. Louis did not report in that most recent batch because they're their own reporting unit. Mm-hmm. But that's all it knows for now.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, we just got Cook. We got something from Cook. What did we get? All right, we have a chunk of Cook just came in. Key question is this city of Chicago or is this suburbs?
I believe this is suburbs.
This is the suburbs. Okay, and can we tell, so folks, okay, you know what I'm going to ask next about the suburbs. Adam will see if
it's very distributed.
Right, okay. Let's just take you through it, then I'll get to what one of the issues is going to be tonight. Okay, this is a very sizable chunk here that just came in Cook County. Remember what we said, that there is Cook Chicago and there is Cook suburbs, right? This vote is from the suburbs. You're seeing all of Cook light up here. It's just the way our map works. None of this vote you see right here is from the city of Chicago. All of this vote that you see that just came in from Cook County is from the suburban part of Cook. Now, again, the dynamic to be watching for tonight with these returns, we felt going in, is that Krishnamurthy would be doing better in the suburban part of Cook. That's where he needed to win. That's where he needed to build some kind of a margin over Stratton. And we felt that in the city of Chicago itself, that's where Stratton wanted to be winning. That's where Stratton wanted to be building a margin there. There's demographic differences between the city of Chicago and the suburbs within Cook County. So you are seeing a lead here in this vote that's counted in the Cook suburbs for Krishnamurthy over Stratton, although it is not much of a lead. And it leads me to the next question, and this is where it might be a little bit frustrating tonight, folks. Where in the Cook suburbs is this coming from? And I'm going to ask Adam, do we have any indication of that? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but...
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing results in all the congressional races we're looking at. You can see our 4 ward over there.
Right.
All the results have started populating. I would say we're, kind of over-indexing maybe in 9 right now, so maybe a little north.
Okay, which means we got a few congressional races to check in on. The challenge is this, folks. In Illinois and in Cook County, they are not releasing the votes tonight at the precinct level. So there are some workarounds that Adam's kind of taking a look at here. But in terms of pinpointing where this vote comes in, when I say Cook suburbs, is it coming from the Cook suburbs more up by Krishnamurthy's district? Is it coming from Cook suburbs therefore? That's what we're trying to pin down right now. Adam says he thinks this is pretty evenly distributed throughout the Cook suburbs, which means we have results coming in from some of these congressional primaries. So let me take you back to them right now. This one I haven't gotten to yet, so why don't we start here? The 9th district here. Okay, this is a district, Jan Schakowsky, Democrat elected in 1998. She's retiring. This seat has been in very few hands through the years. Sidney Yates had it for almost 40 years before Schakowsky. Schakowsky had it since 98. She's retired. These are the 3 main contenders here. Daniel Biss, he is the mayor of Evanston. Laura Fine, she's a state senator. Her district includes her base is in Glenview. It extends into Evanston as well. Kat Abagazale, she is a influencer running, I think, the most sort of outwardly progressive campaign here. And Phil Andrews, a former FBI agent. There's a lot of folks who are in this race, but we have vote coming in from the Cook suburbs. And the way this district works, okay, so Biss leading, this is again, Cook suburbs, not the city of Chicago. That's very important as you understand the numbers we're looking at right here. You can see it's about 1/5 of the vote from Cook County in this district. Okay, that's also all the vote that's in district-wide. But I want to take you through the political geography of the 9th because that's going to put this in context, what you're looking at here. We think that about 45% of the vote that's going to be cast in the 9th district tonight, okay, is from the Chicago portion of Cook County, okay? So the far north side, okay, is the far north side of Chicago is in this district, uptown neighborhood, it's a lot of votes right there. About 45% of all the votes in this district are going to come from Chicago. Another 45% are going to come from the Cook burbs, okay? And the other 10%, there are small, about 10%, there are small portions of 2 other counties that are in this district. Well, that's going to be the other 10%. But this is the division that I want to talk about right now. Chicago, Cook County versus the burbs in Cook County. Because take a look at what you're seeing. Biss, okay, Biss and Abu-Ghazaleh and fine here. Abu-Ghazaleh running a distant third, okay? The key, we think, for Abu-Ghazaleh tonight to win is the city of Chicago. Younger voters there, the sort of voters she's targeted, she's expected to do best in the city of Chicago, okay, and not as well in the suburbs and not as well in the outlying counties. So you see her running in 3rd place right now. There's a lot of money that came in here against her as well, but we don't have any votes from the city of Chicago yet. So this 18%, the context we need for this 18%, is she still running at 18%? Is she only in the low 20s when you start getting an equal number of votes from Chicago in? Or is she getting a real big number out of Chicago, enough to change it? So that's the question for Abu-Ghazaleh in this race. What's going to happen in the city of Chicago? Conversely, okay, Daniel Biss is expected to do better in the burbs than in the city of Chicago, okay? Fine is also expected to do better in the burbs than in the city of Chicago, you see? So this is where this is sort of where specifically in the burbs this vote is coming from is key, just based on they each have some very local strengths here, and that we don't know. But we do know that it's coming from the suburbs, which in general is supposed to be the better area for Biss, supposed to be the better area for Fine, and not supposed to be as strong for Abu-Ghazaleh. So that's what we have right now in the 9th. Huge question here is going to be when you start seeing the city of Chicago, if it complicates that picture at all.
If you want to go back to the Senate race, I think we have started getting in some city of Chicago results.
Okay, we are. We're clearly getting, look at this now. We're looking at the Cook vote here. And remember, this is a mix of city and suburbs. We looked at this a minute ago. Krishnamurthy was leading Stratton by 3 points. We've gotten more vote in from Chicago now. And as Adam said, he thinks that we've gotten vote in from the city of Chicago now, as Adam just said. And look at that. Stratton now leading in Cook County over Krishnamurthy. Let me ask Adam, in the city of Chicago, what's the break between Stratton and Krishnamurthy?
In the city of Chicago?
Yeah. Because this is, again, Stratton probably needs to be winning Chicago by a solid margin. Krishnamurthy wants the suburbs. So we're getting Chicago vote and trying to figure out what that spread is she's leading by.
Yeah, so in Chicago, we have about 65,000 votes. She's getting 42%. Krishnamurthy's getting 26.
And that's with about 65,000 votes counted.
That's correct.
Okay, wow. So, I mean, again, there's going to be a lot more to come from Chicago, but right away, that's a very good number in general for Stratton. She wants to be winning Chicago. She wants to be winning it pretty big, wants to be winning it by double digits. 65,000 votes in the city of Chicago have been counted, and Stratton is leading in the Chicago portion by 16 points over Krishnamurthy. Now, let me ask you this, in the suburban part of Chicago, I should put these side by side. In the city of Chicago, it's 42-26. Okay, in the suburbs of Cook County, what are they running at?
We currently have it at Krishnamurthy 38, Stratton 36.
Okay, right. And now remember, ultimately Chicago is going to cast more votes, we think, than the suburbs. That may not be the case right now, but it's a significant lead in what we've counted in the city of Chicago for Stratton. It's a very small lead of 2 points for Krishnamurthy of what's been counted in the suburbs so far. And that's what it looks like overall in Cook County here. And again, I think those results are skewed a little bit more towards the suburbs.
Yeah. Right now, I skew more towards the suburbs, and we just got some more in. And yeah, I mean, the last number I gave you was with those new numbers, and we're up to 100.
And we just got a whole bunch more. And these numbers have been good for Stratton, I have to say. That's my reaction to them. What did we just get?
We just got more Chicago.
Okay, so
about double their Chicago vote.
So we now have like 130,000 votes in Chicago.
Yep.
Tell me now what Chicago looks like.
So Chicago's now 43 Stratton, 25 Krishnamurthy.
Oh my goodness. Did we get any more from the Cook burbs while this was going on?
No, we're about stable there.
And okay, now we have enough vote that we can ask this. So 38, 36 in the burbs. So we think it's about 130,000 votes in Chicago?
Yes.
Okay, and about how many in the suburbs?
172.
So it's still more skewed to the suburbs.
That's right.
Wow. Okay. So again, remembering what we're talking about here, that the more vote, you think, ultimately comes out of the city of Chicago than the suburbs, and yet, even though it's flipped right now, much more is coming out of the suburbs than the city. Stratton is leading. She's doing that well in Chicago. I think if you're a Stratton supporter, that's very encouraging news for you. I'm just seeing we did get another significant pocket of votes that came in here. This is Winnebago County. This is where the city of Rockford is. Again, just a little bit more than 15% of the vote right there. Krishnamurthy here with a pretty solid lead in the early vote. Again, it's pretty good size geographically. It's pales in comparison to what we're talking about here in Cook, in those immediate collar counties around Cook. But still, this is probably about 1% of the vote here on the Democratic side tonight. Okay, what does it look like statewide? Stratton leads statewide right now by about 12,000 votes over Krishnamurthy. Did we get any more from? I can check myself. We have no more from Kane. I saw a little bit came in here. Kankakee County. Again, this is very, very small here. Why is Robin Kelly leading here? This is in her congressional district. This is part of the 2nd District of Chicago. Remember, I said the Democrats had stretched that out pretty far south. But this is a very small number. We're talking 2,000 votes or so that have been counted here. And again, Kelly in her district, barely ahead of Krishnamurthy there. That's not great for her. Really, if you're Kelly, nothing really has gone your way so far with these votes. She's significantly behind right now. Okay, we have more coming in. Adam, did we get any more significant pockets? I see some downstate, deep downstate stages coming here. Again, this is 20 votes. This is about 300 votes right here. I want to show you these so you can see here, but. Interestingly, again, 20 votes, make of that what you will. A lot of these very sort of small, rural, deep downstate counties here, Krishnamurthy's running about 10, 15, 20 points ahead. But the population down here, again, as we said, is St. Clair. It's Madison County. We'll look for Jackson County later. It's where Southern Illinois University is. It's where Carbondale is. But I just wanted to show you those because they came in. But again, resetting statewide here. Now we've got more than a quarter of the vote in right here. And I think the main thing that you can say right now with this early blitz of votes has been that late spending for Stratton and the talk that Stratton had brought momentum here into primary day, and that maybe her the late push on Stratton's behalf had come at the expense of Kelly. I think that's sort of bearing out in the results that you're looking at right here. Again, those are awfully encouraging numbers for Stratton out of Chicago. And again, if she could ever be winning, she's leading the vote count in Cook County right now. If she could ever win Cook County, remember that's about 60% of the vote statewide. And again, we also saw earlier when we first came on the air, we said, look, what happened in McLean County here? So far, it's 16% of the vote, but Stratton's running dead even with Krishnamurthy. Again, this is a pretty liberal county politically, and down in St. Clair County, Stratton is leading with about a third of the vote that is tallied there so far. So she is showing strength that extends outside of this, outside of the city of Chicago, outside of Cook County itself, and extends out of Chicagoland, extends into downstate. So that's a recipe for a competitive showing by Stratton. I'm lingering on this for a second because I think that was sort of the foundational question coming into tonight. I think, this race has really been going on for like a year right now since Durbin announced he wasn't going to run for re-election. And I think all last spring, summer, fall, and into this winter, Krishnamurthy was seen as the pretty clear favorite in this race. Again, he came into this race, I think the day he announced his candidacy, he already had $20 million on hand. He was on the airwaves early. One of the things his campaign was doing was they were spending outside of Chicago. They were spending down here, I think, in anticipation of some of these dynamics we're talking about right now. So I think one of the foundational questions coming into tonight was, was this talk of late momentum for Stratton more of a mirage? Were we going to see Krishnamurthy pretty solidly handling her? Were we going to see that vote divided a little bit? We're not seeing that so far, and we just got another update here from us. This is a collar county, okay, Will County. This is where Joliet is, okay? About a third of the vote counted here. Okay, now Krishnamurthy, again, you're getting outside of Chicago here. Krishnamurthy leading in this tally by about 8 points over Stratton. That's a difference of just under 2,000 votes. So that does help him statewide. Again, you see what that does statewide. He's still trailing by just under 12,000 votes. I mean, again, these are good-sized counties. A county like Will County is in any state, this would be like a monster, okay? But just look I want to show you, with a third of the vote counted in Will County, this is one of the larger counties in the state of Illinois. We got a third of the vote counted. You see it, 8,800, 7,100, 32. I mean, what are we're talking a third of the vote in that county. It's about 20,000 votes, right? Okay, so Krishnamurthy's leading it. That's good for him. Take a look here in Cook County. We have a little less than half the vote in here. 133,000, 113,000, 72,000, right? 246, 50. I mean, you're looking at 340,000 votes or so right here with a little bit less than half the vote. So it's just, in size here, if you're Stratton and you're able to get a big margin out of Chicago and you're ever able to win this county, that makes up for a lot of losses on this map. If you're reasonably competitive elsewhere and you're coming out of Cook County with a big number, that can undo a lot of damage, and especially if you're running competitive. Okay, we got another big one here. Sangamon County, state capital, Springfield, okay? Wow, this story is continuing here. Significant counties, politically significant counties, and demographically significant counties well outside of the Chicagoland area. South of, Interstate 80, you're looking at Stratton leading here. Almost half the vote in Sangamon County. Again, state capital, Springfield, state workers here. And she's ahead by 6 points over Krishnamurthy. And again, Kelly is almost an asterisk right here. Stratton is demonstrating a geographically expansive strength here that I think coming into tonight, there was reason to doubt would be there at all. And she's now demonstrated it again. St. Clair County, she's demonstrated it in Sangamon County, and she's demonstrated it in McLean County. You're starting to see a recipe. You're certainly seeing a recipe here for a competitive evening here. So again, 37% of the vote is now in statewide. That is a lead of 23,000 votes for Stratton. We've shown you Cook. Oh, we've got more in Cook.
We got more in Cook, yeah.
So now, can we go through again? Yeah.
Yeah, we can
more from
we can break down the latest, because we've gotten more from Cook suburbs, and we've got more from Chicago. Suburbs still outpacing Chicago right now.
Okay, let's take everybody through this, because there's no better way to do this than to just write it out. So you guys all know how significant Cook is, but again, I'll just write it here. We think 60% of all votes, I'll put the little about, we think about 60% of all votes are going to come out of Cook County tonight. We have about 56% of the vote counted right now, and there's that huge and important distinction between the city of Chicago in Cook County and the burbs in Cook County. And Adam is going to take us through those numbers. City of Chicago, Adam, what is it running at?
Stratton with 43%, Krishnamurthy with 25%.
And what's Kelly running at?
And Kelly's running at 23.
Okay. And how many votes are we talking about total?
It's 185,000, and our estimate is that's about 45% of the expected vote.
Okay. Now take me through the suburbs.
We have Stratton at 36, Krishnamurthy at 37, Kelly at 20.
And we think how many votes is that?
219.
And what do we think the expected is there?
We have that about 68% in.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, so look, I think the numbers speak for themselves, but no one ever, I'll beat it to death anyway, because but this is very significant. We have about 34,000 more votes that have come in from the suburbs than have come in from the city of Chicago. But again, the city of Chicago is going to cast more votes than the suburbs. Okay, so and you can see in the suburbs, that's where Krishnamurthy is running in first. Barely. He's only ahead by a point, but he's running in first. And he has, okay, like you talk about, if he's trying to squeeze as much as he can out of the suburbs, right, that sponge is starting to get a little dry. A lot more vote is counted in the suburbs than in Chicago. So there's not as much left for Krishnamurthy, and he's barely winning it, right? Now go into Chicago, and Krishnamurthy's barely holding off Kelly for second. Meanwhile, there's Stratton running laps around both of them, 18-point margin for her in Chicago. And if she's trying to squeeze the most she can out of the city of Chicago, she's got a lot more in that sponge to squeeze out from Chicago than Krishnamurthy might in the suburbs. So you're seeing overall in Cook County right now an 8-point advantage for Stratton, just based on those, sort of broad categories we just put up on the screen. There is the potential there for that to get a lot better for Stratton than for Krishnamurthy. And again, this is 60% of the vote. Statewide, I can't underscore. There's very few states where we can just look at one county and it can be that singularly important. And that's the story with Cook. So that's Cook. This is statewide. I think you saw these numbers a minute ago. And that advantage that Stratton is getting out of Cook, again, that advantage in raw votes is nearly 32,000 votes. She's nearly 32,000 votes ahead in Cook. And you can see, get outside of Cook, every other county that we have vote from here, there's some bright spots for Stratton, but every other county that we have votes from, Krishnamurthy is actually leading her total by about 9,000. But she has enough of a pad from Cook. She's got a 23,000 vote, nearly 24,000 vote. Okay, it just went up again. Where did we get vote from, Adam?
We just got some more Cook.
Okay. That's the big one, right?
Sorry, we just got more Chicago.
Okay. Well, I mean, clearly it was good for Stratton. How good was it? What did it look like?
So we're up to 220,000 votes. We got another...
Oh, geez, this thing.
30,000 votes, let's say.
Yeah, so we're equal now, basically, suburbs and...
That's right.
Okay, this is a key moment. Okay, we're equal between them. Give me Cook. What does it stand at?
Chicago is 43% Stratton.
Yep.
24% Krishnamurthy.
24. So he's dropped one from the last time. Okay, and Kelly?
And Kelly's at 24.
24. Who has more votes between them?
Krishnamurthy, but
by like hundreds?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. They're basically tied for second now. Okay. And then in the suburbs are the same we had before?
Yes, that's
37,
right. That's
36. Right. What was it? 20?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're now equal. So you're getting, and this is, I said to everybody at the start of the night, it's going to be slow. Okay. We got almost 2/3 of the vote in Cook County. Now, I'll fast forward ahead a little bit right here, but if this is a super close election, ought to be clear right now, when you get into that final 10% or so of the vote, 10, 15% or so of the vote out of Cook County, that's where the thing can really slow down. That's where it can be Heinz ketchup pace. That's where it can take days. It could take into tomorrow. It can take more than that here. In fact, the mail-in ballots and mail-in voting is a not insignificant part of the tally here. If they were in the mail today, they can come in for a while in Illinois. So I just want to put that on your radar ahead of time, because we are clearly getting a good pace so far in Cook. There's going to be more to come. The clarity that we're getting is close race, although if you're Stratton, you got to be feeling good, because she is winning Chicago. We have so much of the vote in from Chicago right now, and she is just so clearly winning and winning big right there. And then she is, she's basically, excuse me, I want to get these numbers right. She has 36 and Krishnamurthy has 37. I reversed those. But she is battling Krishnamurthy essentially to a draw in the suburbs, which is where he was supposed to have the advantage over her. So let's just take you back out here statewide and reset.
The other thing we can look at, Steve, is you last left Illinois 9 without Chicago results, and we're up to about 70% of the vote in there.
Okay. Let's do that. Just we'll take a picture of this in your head. Statewide here in the Senate race, a 26,000 vote lead for Stratton. That is a 5-point advantage. You see those dynamics in Cook. Again, if that is her folks have got to be feeling very, very, very encouraged. Let's go through these House races. Sorry, you said where?
9.
9. Okay, back to 9. I think we were on this as we started to get. Okay, again, this is the race to replace Schakowsky. You know that. Okay, Abba-Ghazaleh has moved up. Remember, she was at 17% the last time we looked at this. She's now jumped up to 24%. I'm guessing we've got City of Chicago vote here. Yeah. Clearly. So let's go through. Let's do the same thing in the 9th that we just did. Statewide. Chicago versus the burbs. And remember here, almost all the district is one or the other. They're equal parts. We think they're equal parts here. How are they breaking? So how is the City of Chicago breaking in this?
Abba-Ghazaleh 33, Biss 24, and in the suburbs.
Well, what's Fine at? Just
Fine is at 14.
Okay, we'll come back. And then in the suburbs,
Biss at 34.
Yeah.
Abba-Ghazaleh at 19.
Yeah.
And Fine at 25.
Yeah. Okay. So, and what's the total? How many votes have come from Chicago? How many from the burbs?
About 30,000 from Chicago and about 50,000 from the burbs.
50.
Yeah.
Okay. So we got about 80,000 votes here. We have none. Again, you have 2 slices here, small slices of other counties that combined will be. I won't write it there. Combined will be about 10% of the vote. So I think a couple things you could say. Looking at these numbers right here, you could start to suspect looking at these numbers. Clearly for Fine, whose political base is in the suburbs. Again, she's a state senator from Glenview, from Evanston. Biss's base is in Evanston too, which is in that suburban portion of Cook here. Fine is clearly doing better in the suburbs than in the City of Chicago, but she's substantially behind Biss in the suburbs. Now, we don't know, or do we, Adam, relatively. Are we talking about a lot of the votes coming from Evanston? Are we talking about like Northfield Township? Do we have any sense of that? Because that's kind of the $64,000 question here. If the suburbs are basically Evanston, then there's still. I still would want to see another area for Fine. If they're from elsewhere, though, she's having a.
It's a little unclear. I'll keep digging into it. We did get another Cook suburbs update, and I'm also taking a look at that.
In this race?
Overall.
Oh, okay.
Yes, a little bit spilled into this race while you were talking.
Yeah, I see. What can you give me the current? I see we got 78% of the vote right here.
That's right.
And we're looking at a 4,100 vote difference. What do the suburbs look like right now?
34 Biss, 19 Abba-Ghazaleh, and 25.
Oh, is it still 50,000?
Yeah, it was only a few thousand in this particular congressional district.
Okay. So again, there's more to come here. One thing that we're seeing is there's more to come from the City of Chicago, we think, versus the suburbs. And if you're Abba-Ghazaleh, that is good news for you because you're outpacing Biss by about 10 points there in Chicago, okay? You're losing by 15 points in the suburbs, but you've got an opportunity here. Again, we said we expect her to run much better in the City of Chicago than in the suburbs. So she has an opportunity, just given that we think there's probably more vote to come out of the City of Chicago than the suburbs. There's an opportunity for her to draw closer, although if this gets real close between Biss and Abba-Ghazaleh, again, keep in mind, we might as well put them up on the screen here, Lake County, right, and McHenry County, it's small, shares of each, but probably they're going to add up to 10% of the vote right here. And as you're getting outside the City of Chicago, we just got some Lake. Yeah, this is what I was just alluding to. This might be a trouble area for Abba-Ghazaleh, and she's getting 2/3 of the vote in Lake County. Now, again, this is, 4 or 5% of the vote in this district, but Biss is cleaning up there. Fine is doing okay, but is a clear second. And Abu-Ghazaleh is a distant third right here. And what does that do to the district-wide total here in the ninth? It expands that BIS margin. Remember, we were just seeing it get within about 4 points between those candidates. Now that's up to about 5.5 points. BIS's margin up closer to about 5,000 votes. Now, what's encouraging for BIS is what just happened right there in Lake County. You might see the exact same thing happen in McHenry County when that comes in. So that might be another pad for him. And again, there's still some more vote from Lake. There's still all of McHenry County. So again, based on what we just saw there, there's opportunity there for BIS to maybe pad this lead a little bit. And then there's opportunity for Abu-Ghazaleh in the city of Chicago to make up some ground. Although I see this margin just went over 5,000. What did we just get at him?
Taking a look.
I'm seeing about 90% in Cook. So did we get a?
Yeah, we're about 90% in both the Chicago and the suburbs.
Okay, let's get an update on that right now.
Yep.
Chicago versus the burbs.
So in Chicago,
yep.
Abu-Ghazaleh at 34, BIS 24, Fine 13, Cook suburbs, BIS 34, Abu-Ghazaleh 19, Fine 25.
Okay, so what's the rough number of total votes?
We have 91,000 across the district. There's 55 in the suburbs, 33 in Chicago, and we have them about both 90%.
Okay, so we are expecting our decision desk expects this is going to be more burbs than Chicago.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So that's one thing. In past primaries, it had been about even. Our decision desk is saying more burbs than Chicago. You can see that's clearly a big advantage for BIS here. So BIS getting an advantage just in sort of the relative weight of the suburbs, the margin that he's getting out of the suburbs. There is an opportunity here for Abu-Ghazaleh to get a little bit more out of the city of Chicago, but you just saw BIS here in the outlying, in Lake and McHenry. I think you're feeling a lot better if you're BIS than if you're Abu-Ghazaleh here. One thing I'm curious about, Adam, could you take a look? I see Mike Simmons, State Senator Mike Simmons, is running at 7%. What is he getting in the Chicago portion of the ninth?
In Chicago specifically, he's getting 14%.
Okay, so this might be complicating things a bit here for Abu-Ghazaleh too. In the Chicago portion of the district, that's also where his state Senate district is. I think Simmons and Abu-Ghazaleh were in competition for some of the same voters. And in that Chicago portion of the district where Abu-Ghazaleh needs to consolidate as much support as she can, 14% is going to Simmons right there. That might be taking a bit out of what Abu-Ghazaleh wanted to get out of the city of Chicago. So again, about 84% district-wide is in here. I was wondering, 84% is in district-wide, and that is now almost a 6-point lead for BIS. And again, we just took you through what was left there. I want to go here, just check in on the second district, because we've got 2/3 of the vote here in the second district. This is where Jesse Jackson Jr. is attempting a political comeback. He's running at 29%. Donna Miller, Cook County Commissioner, is well ahead of him right now. I just want to see where the vote is coming from. We've got about three-quarters of Cook. Adam, can you just tell me in Illinois too, between the Cook suburbs and the city, where they are in terms of expected vote?
Yeah, this is much more in the burbs right now.
Okay.
We have 43,000 votes in the Chicago suburbs.
Right.
That's about 90% of our expected vote there currently.
Right.
And we have 7,000 votes in the city, and that's about a third of our expected.
Okay, so I want to get back to the Senate race because I think people are probably most curious about that, but I just want to note, you see Donna Miller with that double-digit advantage over Jesse Jackson Jr. The suburban portion of Cook County, that is where her county commissioner district is. So this is the Miller area that is disproportionately reporting here. This is where she was expected to do well. This is where she wanted to do well, where she needed to do well, where she is doing well. But we still have more to come, a lot more to come relatively speaking, from the city of Chicago. That could be Jesse Jackson Jr. He could do better there, potentially. Also, Robert Peters, that's where his state Senate district is. So there could still be an opportunity for Jackson, but Miller's certainly getting what she wanted to out of there. Let's go back to the statewide race here, the Senate primary. About half the vote is in right now. And again, we just got another update here. Okay, so this is now an advantage here of about 32,000 votes, 5 points for Stratton over Krishnamurthy. And we now have one of the other collar counties reporting. Okay, Lake County here. And again, about half the vote in Lake County. And again, you're seeing, so Krishnamurthy, we see it in Lake County. We see it in Kane County. This is part of his congressional district. He's really doing well there. We see it in Will County. Okay, although Will County, about an 8-point margin there for Krishnamurthy. In the collar counties, the suburbs here, Chicagoland area, Krishnamurthy is running ahead of Stratton. But Stratton is competitive, right? 35% in Will, okay? Yeah, here, not in her district, not so much, but Lake County, 35%. It's a solid enough share of the vote when this is happening in Cook County. When in Cook County, with now almost 3/4 of the vote in, you are getting 39% of the vote and lead by over 46,000 votes in Cook County. That's about what you need to be doing elsewhere. So, and I'm looking to see if we've got any other major population centers. One significant place that is not lit up yet right now, would be right here. This is Champaign, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And I think just what we're seeing in this pattern here, if you're seeing Stratton running this well in McLean County, I think she's going to be running very well in the Champaign County. This is Illinois State. There's a lot of similarities, I think, demographically, culturally between these places. And I think the fact that Stratton was able to run well here in McLean, the fact she was able to run well here in Sangamon County, I think bodes well for her. And this is, relatively speaking, when you get outside Chicago, fair number of votes right here. So that's a place where she might be able to do quite well. But let's get back in here to Cook County at 72% of the vote. And maybe we can run through it quickly here. This is the kind of is the ball game. City of Chicago versus burbs. And go ahead, Adam. What is it in Chicago?
Chicago, 43% for Stratton.
Yeah.
24 for Krishnamurthy.
Yeah.
And in the burbs, 36 for Stratton.
Yeah.
36 for Krishnamurthy.
36. And let me put it this way. What percent of the vote is in from the Chicago portion?
We have it at 58 currently.
We think 58% of the vote from the city of Chicago has been counted, and that's what it looks like. What percent from the burbs?
We have it at 90 currently.
Oh, wow. Look at that. We think the vast majority of the vote from the Cook County suburbs is in, and it's a tie. It's a tie between Stratton and Krishnamurthy. And we think not even 6 out of 10 votes have been counted from the city of Chicago, and Stratton is almost 20 points ahead of Krishnamurthy there. Let me ask it this way. How many votes do we think remain from the city of Chicago? If we think 58% are in, what are we talking about in terms of the number of votes we think are left to come in?
From the city of Chicago,
yes.
About 175,000, right around there.
Okay, so we think about 175,000 votes left. If Stratton keeps beating Krishnamurthy by a 20-point clip, right? That's about a 35,000 vote pad that she could get out of the remaining vote over Krishnamurthy in the city of Chicago. I see a little bit more just came in. Was that burbs or was that city?
I believe that was city.
Uh-huh. And just tell me how it broke. It's a few thousand, but tell me how it broke.
Stratton gets about 4,000 votes.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So again, the opportunity here, we'll just reset statewide. She's leading by 37,000 votes statewide just from the city of Chicago. If she continues to win it at the clip she's winning it at, she could get that same margin almost just from the city of Chicago. And again, where's Krishnamurthy going to counter that? He's already 37,000 votes behind. The suburbs are almost all counted. He'll get a little bit, he might get a little more, he might fall behind with what's left in the suburbs. He's running even in the Cook suburbs with Stratton. So again, city of Chicago, is going to give Stratton potentially at this rate, tens of thousands more votes in plurality. And when you get outside of Chicagoland, I mean, we've been taking you through this. There are certainly places where Krishnamurthy is running in first. It's a 5,000 vote margin for Min Lake. Okay, if he runs at this same clip, he might net 5,000 more votes out of here. Okay, about half the vote in Kane. He might net 5,000 more votes. That's 10,000. Okay, about 2/3 of the vote to come here. Okay, he might net another 4,000 votes, 3,500. I've got him at 13,500. DuPage County. Okay, this is DuPage County. Is about 975,000 people, and DuPage County is part of Krishnamurthy's district. This is going to have to deliver big for him. He's going to need something. Now we see him next door in Kane County with a 20-point advantage over Stratton of 5,000 votes. Okay, DuPage County is bigger than Kane County. It is Krishnamurthy's district. We're talking to Krishnamurthy's backyard here. He's going to need something monster out of here. With what you're seeing Stratton do everywhere else right here, Cook County and everything just looks statewide. Yeah, Krishnamurthy needs something. I don't even know if that would be enough for him. But I'm looking here at this map, and I'm just trying to, as I tell you what I think Stratton can get out of the city of Chicago, and I look at the lead she has right now, I'm saying, where can Krishnamurthy find a big chunk of votes? Okay, yeah, DuPage County. What's the expected vote in DuPage, Adam?
DuPage, we're expecting 110,000 votes, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, okay, if he wins DuPage by 20 points, he could knock 20,000 votes off her. He could get 20, again, right here, DuPage County. I think, if you're Krishnamurthy, you're hoping a lot of these sort of rural, very small rural counties here add up. You win them and you add up, but he's not winning all of them either. I mean, some of these small counties here, this is scant few votes right here. But, again, you're seeing Stratton, you're seeing Stratton's turquoise here pop up. Again, I'm looking for one that's a little more sizable. We're not landing on it here. Take a look, like Livingston County, not many votes here. If you're Krishnamurthy, it's DuPage, it's the rest of these collar counties. Maybe if he could net 20,000 out of DuPage, if he could net 15,000 out of the remaining collar counties, that could potentially offset what Stratton does in Chicago. But that would offset it. He's currently operating at a deficit of nearly 40,000 votes. And he just, where else could he, I look down to Metro East. We haven't heard from Madison County yet. Suburbs of St. Louis, Collinsville, Edwardsville, maybe something there, but it's not that big. Again, if he could pick up some of these rural counties, Peoria, I suspect he could do pretty well there. What Stratton's done here was I think we all looked at this race and saw the potential with the money that was coming in late, with the message that she was running on. Our own polling, we've been seeing this in our NBC polling now for some time. When you ask Democratic voters how they feel about their own party, they don't like their party's leadership. They want more aggressive confrontation with the Trump administration, more aggressive confrontation with those policies. That was, I think, just in terms of the thrust of Stratton's message. That's what she was trying to offer voters in the final weeks of this campaign. And it's hard to look at this map and say she didn't tap into something pretty significant there. So again, nothing new has changed really since we kind of reset. I think you got the lay of the land as I see it here. Let's see DuPage. Let's see more city of Chicago. I mean, maybe that's another hope for Krishnamurthy if you're looking at this. Maybe the rest of Chicago, he finds some stronger pockets here. We did just get a small update somewhere. It's small. Where was that, Adam? Can you see?
Will.
Yeah. Okay. So we got a little bit more. It's
about 1,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
As we've said, Joliet is here. Okay. Let me use the opportunity here to check in on the congressional races. You'll keep me honest, Adam, on the Senate race. I don't know if anything has changed here. No, this is where it was in this second district when we last checked in. City of Chicago. Someone's going to have to turn around in the city of Chicago. It's so small, and yet the population is basically all in this little box right here. City of Chicago, something big is going to have to change there if Jackson Jr. is going to be successful in his political comeback. The best thing Miller has going for her right now as she tries to protect the lead that she got here in the suburbs of Cook County is that Robert Peters is probably going to do pretty well in the city of Chicago, too. So if Peters and Jackson both do well there, they might keep each other from eroding that lead that Miller has. But we'll see. City of Chicago is going to be determinative there. 8th district here, Melissa Bean's attempted political comeback. Okay, we now have a little bit more here. We have, well, of course we do. We have Cook County, the suburbs of Cook County. Almost all of that is in here. 90% of the vote in this portion. This is half the district. Okay, Cook County is half the district. 25% is right down here in DuPage County. Okay, 50, 25, 25. So in the share that accounts for half the district, Bean is running 6 points ahead of Junaid Ahmed. West in Kane County, she's leading by 12. We checked in earlier. I think this has gotten a little closer, I think, since we first checked in, but my memory isn't what it used to be here, but about 60% of the vote in Kane County. And then we're waiting on DuPage. I just said DuPage County we're waiting on is going to be so significant in that Senate race, also here in this congressional race. But if you're Bean, I think in Cook County you were hoping to do a little bit better than that, but she is coming out. She is nonetheless winning it by about 2,000 votes. She continues to have a solid lead there in Kane. If she can just win the DuPage County portion here, she should be able to hold on here. But Ahmed's given her a fight here, no question. Take a look in the 7th district. We haven't shown you much here, and this one is wide open, 67% of the vote. And I mean, just to show you just a list of candidates who lined up to run in this race. I mean, look at this. One of the possibilities as we were looking at the 7th district coming in tonight, I was starting to do some research here on what was the smallest share of the vote anyone ever won a congressional primary with here, where was there a situation where that number might come into play right here. I've seen smaller than 23, but you don't see too many that are smaller than 23. That's what LaShawn Ford is at right now. He is a state representative. He is running in this campaign with the endorsement of Danny Davis. Danny Davis, the outgoing congressman. Melissa Conyers-Ervin is the best funded candidate in this race. She's the treasurer in the city of Chicago. $5 million of ads came in on behalf of her from a pro-Israel aligned super PAC. Ford was also targeted in this race, I think, by the crypto affiliated super PAC. You have a labor leader here, Anthony Driver, running at 12%. Keena Collins had run against Danny Davis a couple times. I think this is her 3rd or 4th time running for the seat. She's at about 10% right now. One question here, let me not belabor this, but one question here is, Adam, city of Chicago versus suburbs. What is there a split we're seeing here? And
yeah, a little bit of a split. In Chicago proper, you have Conyers-Ervin getting 22%.
Right.
When she's getting 14%
in the suburbs.
How
about Ford?
Ford is about the same, 22% in Chicago, 24%, 25% in the suburbs.
And how much of the vote is in each place?
You know, the burbs are heartily in. We have that about 90% in.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more. And then Chicago, we have it 60%.
So we have a fair amount. Okay, they're running even in Chicago. A little bit more than half the votes counted there right now. And it's a difference of 3,000 votes. Look, Ford has sort of taken his best shot at Conyers-Ervin here through the suburbs. Not much left for him there. Can Conyers-Ervin beat him in what's left in Chicago and overcome that margin? Ford's district is from the west side of Chicago. The west side of Chicago was Danny Davis's base. We again, this is the limitation, right? We don't really have a sense here within Chicago where we're seeing this from.
No, but I guess I will note, you know, peeling through the different districts that we've been looking at, 2, 7, 8, 9, 2 and 8 are the ones where we have the least amount of Chicago,
right?
Relative to what we're expecting.
Okay. How about 7?
Yeah, I mean, we just talked there. It was about 60% of the vote. When the rest are below 50.
I misunderstood what you were saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll keep an eye on this here, but you can see the dynamic here. Can Conyers Irvin overtake Ford with what's left in Chicago? Let's check back in on the 9th district race. Remember there, Biss's margin now sitting just under 5,000. I think it was 5,100 when we last checked in. About 80% of the vote here. Nothing more in Lake. You were with us when we got that first batch. Nothing in McHenry yet. Based on what happened in Lake, I think the expectation is Biss should do very well here. In McHenry County, he can pad his margin a little bit there. And we're looking at Cook County here. Let me just ask you quickly, Adam, just the vote that's left. What percent is in burbs versus city here?
In the burbs, we have 90% in, is our estimate, and Chicago is 75.
75, which is up from where it was before, right? What's Chicago running at right now?
Chicago, we have about 37,000 votes in.
Right.
For Biss, we have 24%.
Yep.
Abu Ghazala, 35%.
Yep.
We just got a call in Illinois, too, if you want to look at that.
Okay, did it? Donna Miller has been declared the winner here. There you go. So it looks like we got, and I'm seeing we're up to 73. We must have got a little city of Chicago.
Yeah,
nothing dramatically. We said it would come down to the city of Chicago. Something dramatic would have to change. Nothing dramatic changed. Donna Miller, a member of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, with a solid lead here, solid victory over Jesse Jackson Jr. The political comeback of Jesse Jackson Jr. The attempt fails. Remember, he was elected to Congress in 1996. He served through 2012. He was under investigation at that time, faced a prosecution for fundraising irregularities. 14 years later, and just after his father passed away, obviously a major event nationally, but a major event in the city of Chicago, which was his father's political base for all of those years, falling well short in this race. Miller was the best funded candidate in the 2nd District of Illinois. Again, one of the storylines in these Illinois primaries was a lot of the pro-Israel aligned money coming into these races. This is one of the races that money targeted on behalf of Miller. So certainly just in terms of funding, she had an advantage. Jackson did not raise much money on his own. The financial backing that he did get came from, I think it was the AI affiliated super PACs. And there was crypto money was in here too, I think, going after Robert Peters. But anyway, Miller winning here handily. Political comeback attempt by Jesse Jackson Jr. fails. Going back to the 9th district, we had 37,000 votes counted in Chicago. It was 34% for Biss. It was 34% for Abu Ghazala. And what was it for Biss?
It's 35 for Abu Ghazala and 24 for Biss.
That was okay. 35-24. And how many votes do we think are left in Chicago?
About 13,000 remaining votes.
13,000 remaining votes. If Abu Ghazala continues to beat Biss by about a 10-point margin, she can eat into a 4,800 vote margin. But it does not look like there's enough there at the current rate for her to overtake Biss from Chicago. And meanwhile, like we said, if I can just call the counties up here, there are areas as well where Biss can counter what Abu Ghazala is going to get out of the city of Chicago. So again, I think Biss here is probably feeling not too bad about his position in this race. 2 is called. We showed you 8. I don't think we have anything more than 8 since we checked in. We showed you 7. Waiting on city of Chicago there to see if that turns it around for Conyers Irvin or if that clinches it for Ford. 9th district we just showed you. I did put this race in just in case. Nikki Budzinski, this is again, we talk about these gerrymandered districts in Illinois. This was a district that was drawn, again, by the Democrats for the 2022 cycle. They were targeting Republican Congressman Rodney Davis. They took this district that was a marginal district. They stretched it here from St. Clair County, just outside St. Louis, all the way to Urbana-Champaign, added the city of Springfield. They added Decatur in here as well, made it a very Democratic seat. Budzinski was elected that year. She was being challenged from the left by this candidate who had made, he was trying to run against as a critic of Israel, put it that way. But I was curious if there'd be any traction there. Clearly, in this case, there wasn't any traction there. Let's go back to the Senate race statewide, again, where I think we have a potentially significant story brewing. It was 52% of the vote the last time we checked in. It's now sitting at 54% of the vote. Adam, I keep asking Chicago and Cook, but maybe let me ask you this way. Is there anything else significant that's come in the last, say, 10 minutes in this race?
1,400 votes in McLean, 1,400 in Grundy. We're just getting scattered votes all around the state.
Did I just see DuPage?
Yep, that's right.
DuPage. Okay. So we got about a quarter of the vote just came in DuPage County. Remember what we said. Krishnamurthy's running from behind right now. This is his district, and this is a giant county here. It's not Cook, but this is a giant county by any other standard. That's a 10-point margin for Krishnamurthy, a quarter of the vote. That adds up to a little bit less than a 3,000 vote plurality for him. And again, in the context of a statewide primary where he is now trailing by in excess of 40,000 votes, he doesn't want 44-34 in DuPage County. He wants 54-24 in DuPage County. He wants something massive. This is something respectable for a suburban congressman who was supposed to do well here. The story here is not so much that Krishnamurthy is leading in DuPage County. The story in the context of tonight is that Stratton is doing as well as she's doing. That Stratton is only 10 points behind Krishnamurthy in his political backyard. 27% of the vote, a little bit more than a quarter of is in from DuPage County. Again, you're looking at this map and you're trying, the question you're asking yourself is, where could Krishnamurthy look to eat into that kind of a margin, especially when Stratton is still stands to pad this margin with the city of Chicago, which has a ton of vote left in it. This was the number one place we identified when we looked at this map about 15 minutes ago. Now, there's more vote to come in from DuPage County. Some of that vote may come in from more Krishnamurthy-friendly areas. He may be able to pad this lead by more here, but this is a place in the context of what's happening here. He needs something just enormous from. This is not enormous. This is the opposite of what Krishnamurthy needs out of DuPage County. So again, let's reset statewide. We now are approaching 60% of the vote in this primary. Juliana Stratton, the lieutenant governor, again backed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, whose super PAC just fueled a very aggressive, well-funded, last-minute push in this campaign. And wow, has that currently that is certainly paying off what we're seeing in this race right here. Did I miss anything else? Let's just go through the collars, maybe, see where we stand here. Again, 20% of the vote's going to come from the collar counties, which we are going to go through right now. We're where we were in Lake County. We don't have anything from McHenry County. That one's not as big. Kane County here again, Krishnamurthy, this is his district, and that number now under 50% from there. We just showed you DuPage County. We show you Will County. We got a little more vote here in Will County. And wow, the news, it just seems like it keeps getting worse for Krishnamurthy. Will County, again, another one of the big collar counties here. We showed you this probably with about a third of the vote in, and Krishnamurthy's lead was about 8.5 points here. More vote has come in. You're up close to half now, and Krishnamurthy's lead is down to 1.5 points. So this was a county that he was getting some margin out of earlier. Now he's barely ahead here. So again, he needs big batches of votes somewhere and everywhere, and I'm not seeing him here. 41,787. Stratton's margin statewide right now. I see Madison County has come in. Holy cow, look at that. More than half the vote has come in Madison County. Metro East, St. Louis here in Illinois. Again, Madison County and St. Clair County. The two of these combined, this is big for way down state in Illinois. They're probably about 3% of the vote statewide tonight. But this is, when St. Clair County came in at the start of the night, one of the things that I said was, we expected that Stratton was going to do well with the black vote in this campaign. This had St. Clair had one of the larger shares of black voters of any county in the state. She was doing well there. Now you're getting into Madison County here, and the demographics get a little different, and Stratton is leading here. She's leading by 6 points here as well. Reset statewide, nearly 60%, 41-8-19. That's the margin. Just take a look here through, I'm just sort of looking. These are tiny counties here, trying to kind of give everybody a cameo, I guess. Make our way down as remote as you can get in Illinois. Alexander, this is where Cairo, I don't want to get too distracted. We got Cairo, Illinois. You could drive from Cairo, Illinois to Arkansas. You could get to somewhere in Arkansas in 90 minutes from Cairo, Illinois. You want to get up to Chicago? 5.5 hours. That's how big Illinois is. Okay, statewide here, checking in again.
We did get some more Cook suburbs.
Okay, why don't we just reset on this again for a second? Just quickly take us through the numbers while we have a minute. City of Chicago versus the suburbs in Cook.
Chicago, Stratton 44.
Yeah.
Krishnamurthy 24.
Yeah.
And in the burbs, Stratton 36.
Yeah.
And Krishnamurthy 36.
36. By the way, who is leading in the suburb? Who has more votes actually?
About 800 for Stratton.
She's now leading the suburbs.
That's right.
Juliana Stratton, it's no longer a story of Krishnamurthy leading in the suburbs and Stratton overwhelming him in the city. Stratton is leading in the suburbs. It's not by much. She is pulled ahead of Krishnamurthy in the suburbs. What share of the vote in are we in Chicago?
We have it at 67.
67. And are we at, what are we in the burbs, still 90 or?
Yeah, and north of 90, we have it about 95 here, but once you get into that territory, very unclear.
Right, it's unclear, but we are, this is, you're pretty much at it in the, I mean, there could be some more here, but you're getting close to the end in the suburb. There's still a third of the vote to come in Chicago. I mean, this is I think a pretty clear advantage for Stratton here at this point with 60% of the vote in. Let's just jump here. I think you said the city of Chicago, which makes me think, did we get anything more in the 9th in that Chicago update? This looks the same.
Yeah, we got a few more. I think BIS pads by about 90 votes. We got another
from Chicago.
Votes. From the burbs.
From the Cook burbs.
Yes, exactly.
Did any part of the city come in here in?
Not in the last. Not in the last few minutes here.
Okay, so I mean, but again, the numbers here seem a lot more friendly to BIS than they do to Abu-Ghazaleh at this point. The 8th, looking here, 20. Okay. Oh, I should have known. Okay. DuPage County. Now this just got a little interesting. Now one of these things is not like the other. Now we've got 3 component counties here. Let's just reset here in the 8th district where Melissa Bean is making this comeback attempt, where Junaid Ahmed, again endorsed by Bernie Sanders, running to the left, Justice Democrats. He is just under 3,000 votes behind Bean, who leading, and most of the vote is in Cook. She's going to win by just under 2,000 votes right there. 2/3 is in Kane. She's leading by about 10 points right there. And then look what happened in DuPage County. It's about a quarter of the vote is going to come out of here, and about a quarter of the vote is in from DuPage. So the biggest single source of outstanding vote in this district is DuPage County. Now that is a 7-point advantage right now, 6.7, 7-point advantage for Ahmed. How many votes do we expect left in DuPage County in this district, Adam?
About 14,000 is our estimate.
14,000 left. So look, if Ahmed continued to win it at this rate, could he knock 12? Yeah, he could make it close and he could make it uncomfortable for Bean, but depending on how the remaining vote looks in Kane, and if anything else, I see we just got a little bit more out of Cook here. He's probably going to need to win DuPage County by a bigger margin than he's winning it by. He's probably going to need to win this thing by more like 15 points or so. If what we're seeing in Cook and what we're seeing in Kane continue. In fact, he may need to win this thing by more like 15, 20 points because Bean at this rate will get more out of Kane. So again, Ahmed is wasn't quite sure what to expect in this race. Again, Bean had some real significant backing behind her. I think my expectation coming into this race was that there'd be more distance between Bean and Ahmed than there is right here. But again, I think the way this is playing out right now, he's probably going to, this is kind of going to be the ball game for him, I suspect, and he's going to need something bigger than this coming out of here. But that's an interesting race there in the 8th. Let's look again in on the 7th. Nothing has changed here again since we looked. This is all contained within Cook County.
That last Chicago update did add about 1,700 votes to 9.
Yes, okay.
So it's about 1,700 new votes.
Yep.
Abu Ghazaleh nets about 376 over Biss.
Do you know what percent she was getting, what he was getting?
Yeah. In this latest batch, she gets 42% of the new vote.
Right.
And Biss gets 20.
So she beat him 2-1. She beat him by 20 points. How many votes do we think are left in the city of Chicago here?
We have it about 80% in, and we have about 11,000 remaining as our current estimate.
Yeah, 11,000. So if you just saw her beat him by about 20 points, 11,000 left in Chicago.
That's right, just in Chicago.
At that same rate, she could knock 20. Again, at that same rate, at that same rate, if she were, that's a huge if, but if she wins the rest of Chicago at that same rate, she probably cuts that in half. She probably cuts that 4,500 in half. Leaves her still behind, and again, it leaves her we'll call it the McHenry problem. Small, but now it looms big. And we've seen Biss next door in Lake, not just winning it, but Abu Ghazaleh way back here. If that gets replicated in McHenry, again, that's a lot of the good she could do herself in the city of Chicago can be undone in that small county there, small slice of the county in McHenry. So, again, the assessment kind of remains the same right there. Let's go back out. I see we did get some more vote in the Senate race, Adam. We went from 58 to 60%. Stratton has added to her lead. You had just mentioned city of Chicago in that 9th district. Does that mean we just got more in the Senate race?
Yes, we did. We're up to 286,000 in Chicago. We were at 260 before.
So we just got 26,000. So we got 26,000 new votes from Chicago just now.
In the last few minutes, yes.
Are you able to say just that 26,000? What percent was Stratton, and what percent was Krishnamurthy?
I only have 11,000 currently accounted for in my log right here.
Okay, but you have what that was?
Yes. So for Stratton, it was 45, 46%.
Yep.
Krishnamurthy, 18%.
Oh, I mean, it's just continue. I keep asking these questions. I keep looking at these places. To explain the process here, it's just, are we missing something? Is there a piece of good news here for Krishnamurthy, or pending good news for him, that we're not seeing and that we're not accounting for? One thought, as more vote comes in from Chicago, is there a more Krishnamurthy friendly pocket that because we've seen, Stratton running about 20 points ahead in the updates. Well, you just saw another update from Chicago, 11,000 votes. She's beaten him in those 11,000 votes by 28 points. So these are all. Yeah.
We did make 2 new calls in the statewide races for governor and Senate on the Republican side.
I see Pritzker for governor.
Pritzker's in there.
Oh, the Republican primary for governor.
Yes.
Okay, Darren Bailey, who was previously sought this office, the Republican nominee for governor of Illinois. And what's the other call?
In the Senate race, Don Tracy.
Okay, and on the Republican side, and maybe we should just let's call this one up here. And let me use this moment while we're sort of in a holding pattern here. These live streams that we're doing, they're for everybody. I don't care, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green Party. If you like both parties, if you hate both, who likes both parties? But if you hate both, it's for everybody. And I know tonight it's been all Democrats. And I just want, if you're a Republican and you're watching, I love you, because this is, again, I'm interested in elections, you're interested in elections, whether it's a Republican primary or a Democratic primary. It matters who wins. We care who wins. We want to know how they won. The reason why, I think if you're watching this, but the reason why it's been all Democrats tonight, Illinois is a blue state. You know how these races go. Governor races, Senate races particularly. Realistically, whoever wins that Democratic Senate primary, realistically, is probably going to be the next United States Senator. Now, Don Tracy was the Republican state chairman. He is projected to win the Republican primary here. So we'll see. We'll have the whole campaign go out there in Illinois. But that's the reason we haven't really been paying much attention to this Republican primary tonight. As for the House races, it's been all Democratic primaries. It's because it's a blue state. It's also because it's a gerrymandered state. We've been saying it. The Democrats did away pretty much with competitive districts in Illinois. They drew these things, in these very kind of convoluted ways to create one safe Democratic district after another. Well, what does that mean? It means the action in these districts, fair or not, is in these Democratic primaries. And you get, Robin Kelly leaves her district to run for the Senate. You get an opening there. Jan Schakowsky retires. Krishnamurthy leaves his district to run for the Senate. Democrats in Illinois, these opportunities come along once every 10 years, 20 years, something like that. So they all get in. They all run. Danny Davis had been there for 30 years. So that's why, if you need the explanation, that's why it's been all Democrats tonight. But if it were a Republican gerrymandered state, it'd be all Republicans, and I'd be thanking the Democrats for tuning in. This is for everybody. What do we got?
We got DuPage.
Oh, okay, we got a lot more DuPage. Okay, it did get a little better for Krishnamurthy, but only a little. A 15-point margin for Krishnamurthy. This seems to be coming in 1/4 increments. We've got half the vote in DuPage County. We got an advantage of 8,300 for Krishnamurthy. So, if it extrapolate it, right? If the other half of the vote in DuPage County looks like this half of the vote in DuPage County, Krishnamurthy can shave an additional 8,000 votes off his statewide margin to Stratton, which currently stands at 41,431 votes. So he could knock that down. If the rest of DuPage looks like what we just saw, he could knock that down to about 33K, right? That's still a significant gap. What other big counties is he leading in where there's a vote to come? We showed you Lake. Again, half the vote. Maybe he could knock 5,000 there. Let's do the math, right? 8,000 and change out of DuPage, 5,000 here. We're over 13,000. Kane County, we got about 3/4 of the vote in right there. He could do another 1,500. Maybe that's 15,000 between those counties. Will County's barely ahead. Again, but in these, maybe he can win up here in McHenry County. Maybe between what's left in the collar counties, he knocks 20,000 votes. He could knock maybe half of Stratton's lead off in what remains of the collar counties, but she's got Chicago. She's just every Chicago update is offsetting anything that Krishnamurthy's getting from those collar counties. And she's 41,000 votes ahead. And this is not one of those campaigns. Sometimes you'll see these in Illinois where a candidate really has concentrated support in Chicago and in Cook County, and then tries to just build as big a number as they can and withstand losing in 98 of the 102 counties. That's not what Stratton's doing here. Again, she's winning in Metro East, right? She's winning in Sangamon County, where Springfield is. We showed you at the very beginning of the night, she's winning in McLean County, Normal, Illinois. We're waiting on Champaign. I've set that one up. She's got big pockets here where she's doing quite well. Krishnamurthy, we showed you early in the night, Winnebago County, where Rockford is. He's doing well, but it's a 1,200 vote margin. I suspect he's going to do well here in Peoria County, Peoria here. Let's go over to the Quad Cities, Rock Island County, right? Moline. He might do well here as well, but it's not that big. So again, statewide here, almost 2/3 of the vote, 41,588. Do we have, let me ask this to Adam. Has there been any communication here with our decision desk?
Yeah, they're looking at the same numbers we are. We're slowly getting more Cook suburbs and Chicago vote. I think they're waiting for a lot of that to come in just to see how it breaks out. But that's the latest in that race.
I just see we got another update while you were talking. We're up to 64. What just came in?
That's what. Yeah. I was kind of. We did get just a tad more out of Cook suburbs.
How did it break?
4,000 votes. Stratton wins it. Looks like 38, 32.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are the surprises tonight besides the fact that Stratton is ahead in this race and ahead by a somewhat significant margin right here? I mean, we figured she would do well in the city of Chicago, and that could potentially make her competitive. She's outright winning suburban Cook County. Remember, we told you that distinction at the start of the night. 60% of the vote Cook, 35% city of Chicago, 25% suburbs. We thought at the start of the night that this was going to be, maybe Stratton wins Chicago, by a pretty good margin, but then Krishnamurthy wins big in the suburbs and offsets whatever she gets out of Chicago. No, she's actually close. She's actually ahead in the suburbs, and she's just pouring it on in the city of Chicago right now. In how many votes? We were at about 95% in this. Okay. Now this is something. Do you see this, folks? Were you watching this a minute ago? See this county right here, Will County? It just changed colors. Look at that. Stratton has taken the lead in Will County. First update of the night. This is one of the big collar counties, right? First update of the night, Krishnamurthy was ahead by 8.5 points. It got closer with subsequent updates, and now Stratton's taking the lead here. I mean, she's now winning the suburbs of Cook County, and she's now winning in Will County. And I just saw it come in. I teased this one like an hour ago. I said she might do well in Champaign County, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, big, liberal, college town. How well is she doing? Look at that. Half the vote just came in Champaign County, and Juliana Stratton with a double-digit advantage over Raja Krishnamurthy there. Add those together. 65% of the vote is in statewide. Stratton just built on that lead, which we've been tracking all night. That's the highest I've seen it so far tonight, 44,442 votes. 528. She just got another update somewhere. Again, this is expansive here. Because a second ago I said with some astonishment that she was winning not just the city of Chicago, but the suburbs in Chicago. And now, look at this, it's expanded. She's now winning one of the collar counties. She's winning Will County. Did you have that on your bingo card tonight? Take a look. Again, let's go through the collar counties here. A little bit more in Lake. We're still stubbornly waiting on McHenry. We got a congressional race where we're waiting on McHenry too. Kane County. That's not a Collar County? That's the Collar County I was looking for. DuPage County. Again, Krishnamurthy, his district. What do we got here? We got Grundy County, Krishnamurthy. This is small. You're getting further and further away from Chicago right here. And take a look in, okay, here we go. This is the other, guys, there's not much vote in southern Illinois. There's not a ton of vote here, but a fifth of the vote is in Jackson County. What's significant about Jackson County? Carbondale, University of Southern Illinois University. Go Salukis. 16-point advantage there for Juliana Stratton, right? I mean, you're starting to see it's these college college areas. We showed you at the start of the night in McLean County, right? Normal, Illinois State University. She's got a double-digit advantage. Champaign-Urbana. Urbana-Champaign, she's got a double-digit advantage right there. We just showed you. SIU, she's got a double-digit advantage right there. Oh, golly, now you're testing my, I thought I could find it. This is the one no. Oh, you're killing me. Where am I waiting on right here? I am waiting on Warren County. Oh, it's right in front of me. College County, Western Illinois University, McDonough County, double digit. Julie, I apologize to folks at Western Illinois University. I think they're called the Leathernecks. Is that the name of the school there? Anyway, look at that, a double digit lead. So there's college counties there, all of them coming through there for Stratton. That's a piece of this equation for her. 65% of the vote statewide. I see we got another small update somewhere, 44,643. It's climbed just a little bit since we sort of started resetting here. Do we have anything more? I'll just check in Chicago. Looks like we got a very, very little bit more here in this 7th district here. Again, we're LaShawn Ford, endorsed by Danny Davis, the outgoing congressman. Lead there is 3,000 votes over Melissa Conyers-Ervin. Significance here nationally, again, is that money that came in on Conyers-Ervin's behalf, millions of dollars here on the airwaves. A lot of that money, the pro-Israel side really making this race a priority. Again, right now she is on the wrong side of that equation there. 9th District, you know the story here. Nothing new has come in the 9th. Is that right, Adam, or has anything here?
Very little amount out of the suburbs there.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we've discussed it. You know the story, and again, you got that missing puzzle piece right there that I think, for BIS could end up being pretty significant for BIS, just given everything else that's happening in that district. Okay, statewide here, we did just get a little more vote from somewhere. Where did we get it?
Grundy, Lake. We got a little bit more at a Lake. We got about 1,000.
Okay.
Winnebago, just 1,500.
Yeah, Lake. Yeah. Krishnamurthy. I think this Krishnamurthy lead in Winnebago is down too from when we first checked it.
The places where we have the most outstanding vote right now. Chicago proper, there's about 125,000 according to our estimate. DuPage, we have about 50,000.
1 second, 50 in DuPage.
Lake, 28. Will, 27. McHenry has had some reporting issues tonight. They haven't reported any votes. They're at 22,000, and the rest are kind of sub 20,000.
Yeah, so these are the heavy hitters that are left. And so let's just play around with the math a little bit here. Again, these are the only counties where there are more than 20,000 expected votes remaining. Now it's 125,000 from Chicago.
Yes.
Cook Burbs is like very little now, right? They're inside of 20, right?
Yeah.
So okay, this isn't just Cook. This is the city of Chicago. Okay, so this is almost the whole story. We've been telling it all night. Stratton has continued to lead, Krishnamurthy by about 20 points here in the vote in Chicago. And that really, in these updates has not varied widely. I see more just came in from somewhere to put it at 46,000. Look,
we got 6,000 out of DuPage.
Yeah.
Stratton wins it.
She just won.
The most leading, 43-36. Okay.
So, look, 125,000 votes remaining out of Chicago. If Stratton is winning that thing by about 25 points, by about 20 points, which she's been winning it by, she nets about 25,000 more votes, plurality, just out of the city of Chicago. DuPage County, where Krishnamurthy had been leading, we just got an update of 6,000 votes from there. In that update, Stratton was leading. What's the overall count in DuPage County right now?
We have about 62,000 votes in DuPage.
But what's the breakdown between the candidates? I don't want to flip the screen.
Got it. You're right.
Math.
Krishnamurthy's 46, Stratton 33.
33. So, okay, he's still winning it by about 13 points. So, at that rate, of course, that last update throws this into doubt, but at that rate, right, with 44,000 votes remaining, he could maybe, Krishnamurthy, we'll give a K there, could maybe get about a 6,000 vote plurality out of DuPage. Lake County, 28,000. What's Lake running at right now? He's 47-34, something like that?
Lake, we have it at 50, Krishnamurthy 35.
So a 15-point margin, 4,200 votes. He could get, we'll call it, 4,500. Will County, 27. He's winning Will by what, 15? I mean, again, let's just.
Stratton's leading in Will currently.
Oh no, Will. I'm sorry, right? She's leading in Will. So okay. And then we've got McHenry where we don't know. So
yes.
Look. If he wins these, right? If he squeezes, she's still netting. Just from what she gets out of Chicago, even if Krishnamurthy continues to win by double digits in DuPage and in Lake, just from this group right here, she's still going to net something like 13,000 more votes on top of a lead right now that sits at 48,000. That would put her in excess of 60,000 votes ahead statewide. And again, Will County, one of the giant, suburban collar counties right there, she's actually pulled ahead in the count in Will, so she might even pad her lead there. Krishnamurthy's not getting anything giant out of there. McHenry County, we're waiting on. We have nothing from McHenry County, but about 20,000 votes there. Again, let's say Krishnamurthy were to win that thing by 20 points. Let's go crazy here. Maybe he sheds. That's worth about 4,000 votes for him. That would get this thing. Down. Around 70,000.
We just got another 12,000 out of Chicago. Stratton wins it. Let's see, 42-22.
The 20-point margin. This has been the story of the night. So how many votes was that out of Chicago that just came in right now?
That was about 12,000.
Okay, so now we got there goes the masterpiece. Now we got about 112,000 left we got about 112,000 left in Chicago. But I mean, this is just a very consistent story we've been telling tonight, where but for the best moment for Krishnamurthy that I think he had tonight in the results was early on. We got a big batch from Kane in his backyard, and he was winning there as expected. But even Kane isn't looking quite like it was earlier for him, and there's just nothing else here you can point to for him. That margin now sits at almost 50,000 votes statewide for her. We had checked in at St. Clair earlier. Boy, they were first out of the gate, and they've been pretty slow since about 40% of the vote. But again, it's expanded. Remember, they came in early. First report of the night was from St. Clair County, and Stratton was leading it by, I think, 3 points over Krishnamurthy. The new vote that's come in since has pushed her ahead by a little bit more than 10 points right there. Madison County, again, the other sort of big Metro East there, 12, more than 12-point margin for her right there. There's just no good news on this map if you're a Krishnamurthy supporter. And Robin Kelly, we kind of took you through that she was kind of out of it from the get-go tonight. Has there been anything more in these congressional races?
Yeah, that last Chicago update gave us about 2,000 more votes in CD 7 and 9.
Okay, in 7. So it looks like Conyers-Irvin won that by a small margin over Ford?
That's right, yeah.
Can you tell what the percent was that she won of that update? And
Conyers-Irvin got about 30%, and Ford 22%.
How many votes are left in City of Chicago in the 7th District?
We have about 18,000 as an estimate.
Okay, so that's interesting. His margin, Ford's margin, is 2907. That last batch of votes from Chicago, Conyers-Irvin just won 30-22, 8 points. Sake of argument, let's say she wins the remaining Chicago vote by 10 points over Ford, and it's 18,000, we think, remaining votes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'd be 1,800. If she wins it's either if, but just to give you a sense of the challenge that she faces right here, right, if she wins the remaining Chicago vote by 1,800, she can knock that down to about 1,100, that Ford lead. That's getting tight. That's getting uncomfortably tight for Ford. But
go back to the Senate race.
We got more from the Senate race. Okay. So again, she's got to do more than that. She's got to do more than we just showed you. Senate race. Oh! Folks, could you sense the news? Juliana Stratton, that's what the check mark means. The Lieutenant Governor of Illinois, NBC News has won the Democratic primary for the United States Senate in Illinois. She has defeated Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy and Congresswoman Robin Kelly. She will face in the general election Don Tracy, the former chairman of the state Republican Party in Illinois. This in a solidly blue state to replace the retiring Senator Dick Durbin. Stratton, just based on the politics of Illinois, the demographics of Illinois, will enter that general election as the clear, overwhelming favorite to claim that Senate seat. This is an upset victory, given the expectation. Oh, sorry, no. Was there news there? Or
no, we'll join News Now in a few minutes off of this call. But
okay, I am, folks. The News Now folks are going to bust into their programming, and we're going to give them the news I just gave you, so you got it first. What I was saying before I said that, though, was, I mean, maybe if you're watching along, you could sense this happens on the air a lot, too. You know, we kind of knew for a little while here what was going on in this race. You probably saw me trying to, it's an exercise in our decision desk is incredibly thorough and incredibly meticulous and incredibly accurate. And it means you get into that zone. You know, sometimes it goes for about 20 minutes where I think you and me looking at this are saying, I can't see it for Krishnamurthy. I can't see any avenue left. And most of the time, that's it. We're right. We see it. Everybody sees it. But every once in a while, there ends up being a little path and a little avenue somewhere, and our decision desk protects us against prematurely calling it when that path still exists, because there have been some elections in the not too recent past where others called it, but our decision desk said wait, and where if I was drinking truth serum here, I'd tell you I probably would have called it myself, and then I would have egg all over my face. So that's what the decision desk protects us from. But yeah, I mean, really, I don't think I need to repeat what I've been saying here all night. This was just one increasingly encouraging update for Stratton after another. Just the footprint of her support just expanding out from the city into the Cook suburbs, into the collar counties, and all the way, downstate to some pretty significant population centers, at least by downstate standards here. And for Krishnamurthy, there's just nothing really positive for him to point to. And again, this is a campaign that began for him with huge, huge expectations. One, he'd been planning, I think, for years, the opportunity to run statewide. He had raised money for it. He had a giant war chest of like $20 million the day that Durbin announced his retirement last spring, got in the race right away, was up on the air with ads this summer. And again, I think one of the things that there was some expectation tonight was that Krishnamurthy was going to do very well downstate. Again, about 20% of the vote going to be downstate, outside that Chicagoland area, that he was going to do well there tonight. So if it was kind of a close race coming out of here, that would make the difference. But no, again, you're just not. You're seeing Stratton in all these places we've been talking about here just turn the tables on him completely. So that's the story. We're waiting to go to News Now. Do we know when that's going to be roughly?
Unclear right now. But
oh, wait, is that Melissa? Okay. I mean, is it a couple minutes, or do I have time to go to the congressional, or should I just stay on the less than? Okay. They're coming to me in less than a minute. So I'll tell you what, folks, we'll do this update. We'll check on the congressional races. We'll see. I said at the start of the night, share your comments, share your Illinois fun facts, and I ignored you guys. This thing just overtook everything so quickly. I'm sorry. What are your fun facts about Illinois? What's the state bird of Illinois? Anybody know? I think it's like the northern cardinal?
Northern cardinal.
The northern cardinal, because it doesn't leave Illinois. It doesn't fly out of the state. It likes the state. Are we at the, who doesn't love? Well, the Illinois State, I was talking about him. The Illinois State Redbirds, right? Redbird Arena, okay? We finally got Peoria County. So we thought that would be good for Krishnamurthy, but boy, he needed a lot more, right? Peoria, the one it's more than a college. Bradley University is here, okay? So we're going through all the college counties here, the big public school counties, all Stratton, Bradley University, the Bradley Braves, the war on I-74, right? It was Bradley versus Illinois State, Missouri Valley basketball, right? Are we there yet?
People said, we have a comment that the state tree is the white oak of Illinois.
The white oak is the state tree. That's great. Anybody know where the highest point in Illinois is? Could be a trick question. So, should I give the answer after the
deep tease,
the update? Who wouldn't stay tuned to find out information like that? I do want to just, if there's good questions, comments, we'll do 5 minutes after we do this News Now thing before we wrap it up, because I want to make this thing more interactive. And do we know where we stand on the News Now hit?
Still not clear.
Okay. So I'll tell you that highest point. Give me a 20-second thing.
Yep.
Right? Okay, the highest point in Illinois. Well, you have to ask me, is it the highest land point, right? Because if it's the highest land point, it's right there. Joe Davis County, it's 1,100 feet. But if it's the highest point, how about the Sears Tower, right? Or the way they call it, the Willettes. It'll always be the Sears Tower to me. But there's your the white oak tree, the northern cardinal, Joe Davis County. They're telling me to stand by. Here we go.
Good evening. I'm Gotti Schwartz coming on the air for a breaking news report. With 68% of the vote now in, NBC News can project that Juliana Stratton will win the Democratic primary for Senate in that state. The race pitted Stratton, the state's lieutenant governor, who was endorsed by her boss, J.B. Pritzker, against a field of Democrats, including Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, who poured tens of millions of dollars into the contest. That seat is considered safely Democratic heading into the general election in November. I want to bring in NBC News chief data analyst Steve Kornacki at the big board for us. Steve, how did tonight's win come together for Stratton?
Yeah, Gotti, I think this is an upset result here, too. Just the fact that she won and also the fact that she's winning by the margin that she is. Stratton with a 50,000 vote advantage over Krishnamurthy. And I suspect that number is going to grow because one of the reasons she was able to win tonight is she is defeating Krishnamurthy by an overwhelming margin in the city of Chicago. She's basically beating him by a 2-to-1 margin there. And there is still a lot of vote to come out of the city of Chicago. But this is not just about winning Chicago big and withstanding some tough losses elsewhere in the state. As you can see, looking at this map, Stratton's support was more geographically expansive, I think, than some folks expected. In the inner suburbs of Cook County, just outside Chicago, she is winning there. She's winning here. You see, this is one of the big collar counties, Will County, and she's also winning downstate in some pretty big places, right around the state capitol in Springfield, just outside St. Louis in Madison County, St. Clair County. These are some pretty decent-sized population centers, and I think, Gotti, two things here in the closing stretch of this campaign for Stratton. The money that she had in the final weeks. You mentioned Pritzker's endorsement. He backed that endorsement with his super PAC, millions of dollars on her behalf in the airwaves. Obviously, that was critical. And her message. I think this may say something about the mood and the energy in the Democratic base. Stratton ran on abolishing ICE. She ran on a promise to go to Washington and vote against Chuck Schumer to continue as the leader of the Democratic Party there. We've been seeing this in our own NBC polling, an appetite among Democratic voters for more direct and dramatic confrontation with Trump and in politics generally. That is what Stratton was offering in the final weeks of this campaign, and it seems that that's what voters in this Democratic primary opted for tonight.
And Steve, there are so many other down ballot races here, congressional races throughout the state. Any other surprises?
Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a notable result. I'm not sure if it counts as a surprise, but this was a big story here on the congressional side. Jesse Jackson Jr., former congressman. He'd been in the House from 1996 to 2012. He had left as an investigation into fundraising practices consumed him. He was seeking a political comeback. The backdrop for this race, of course, the death of his father, civil rights leader Jesse Jackson Sr. He was a Chicago fixture, too. Jackson is going to fall short. He's going to fall far short in his comeback here in the 2nd District of Illinois. Donna Miller, member of the Cook County Board of Commissioners, is going to defeat him there. We have some other House primaries that are still unresolved. This one, I think, has gotten the most attention nationally. This is the 9th District. This is a Democratic primary to replace Jan Schakowsky. She's retiring after 28 years in the House. Again, this race has not been called by NBC News, but you do see that Daniel Biss here, he is the mayor of Evanston. He has a lead right now over Kat Abba-Ghazaleh, who's a nationally known influencer who gave this race some national attention.
Steve Kornacki at the big board. Steve, thank you. I want to go now to Shaquille Brewster.
Okay, there we go. So you guys heard it from me first. That was the more polished version, right? I get 2 minutes to think about what I'm going to say, and I don't stutter and stammer as much. So you got to see both sides of it here. Let's just reset statewide. And again, 51,000 votes there, 69%. In terms of what we expect here, again, the rest of these primaries, the 9th District, showing you this result, the storyline's kind of been the same. Biss can, it sounds like there have been some issues in McHenry County. I suspect that's going to affect our ability to call the race. Has the decision desk sort of been saying that?
Yeah, we should be getting results from them soon. They've been saying soon for a little bit. But
yeah, well, I've learned that election officials, I'll translate here. When they say soon, it means 3.5 hours from now. So yeah. We'll see. But again, that McHenry portion, just based on everything we're seeing, should pad that lead for Biss. Still some city of Chicago for Abba-Ghazaleh to eat into that a little bit there, but I think Biss probably in a better position, as we've been saying, is in a better position there. The 7th District, we showed you this just before the Senate race was called. Again, remaining vote, Conyers Irvin's going to have to win that thing by a pretty healthy margin, probably like 20 points or something if she wants to overtake Ford here. But it is a close race there. Again, to remind you, Illinois 2, we showed you that result. Illinois 8, okay, this one is worth an update here. 86% of the vote is in. Again, this is Melissa Bean's attempted political comeback. Junaid Ahmed running, from the left in this race. Again, let's see where the result is. So Kane is basically done. Quarter of the district is basically done. Bean wins that portion of the district by just under 1,300 votes. Cook is almost done. She's got a margin there of 1867. And I think here's the significant thing. DuPage County, where in the first update tonight, Ahmed had the lead, we were looking at it and we were saying, that's interesting. If Ahmed can win the remaining vote in DuPage by a big margin, he could offset what's happening in Kane and what's happening in Cook. However, we now got a lot more DuPage County in, and it's close, but Bean has taken the lead here. Bean now with a 447 vote margin. Now, there's a lot more DuPage to come, but that's now a significant 6-point advantage for Bean, nearly 3,600 votes. Significant given that with all the vote, just about all the vote counted in Kane and just about all the vote counted in Cook, she looks on course to win both of those counties. And now with well over half the vote in DuPage County, she's taken the lead in the count right there. So that it's tight. And I honestly, I think it's probably tighter than I was expecting this race to be. But you'd much rather be Bean looking at that math than Ahmed. Again, zooming back out to the Senate race here. Remember I said at the start of the night this could be a really long, slow. Boy, this one kept us busy. This kept us busier, I think, than Georgia 14. What should we do here, Adam? Should we?
Yeah, we can wrap up at any time. I will say people have been chiming in with their fun Illinois facts.
Let's get some fun Illinois facts.
A couple that came in the chat. The white-tailed deer is the state animal of Illinois.
The white-tailed deer. I want to write some of these down.
The popcorn is the official state snack.
Okay.
Somebody pointed out that the Navy boot camp is in Great Lakes, 35 miles north of Chicago. So there's a lot of Illinois pride being shown in the chat. I think one question that we kept getting repeatedly, and I think maybe left over from what we were talking about when we did Texas races, is people have been asking for the statewide race, but also any of these congressional races. Is there a runoff scenario?
No.
And the answer is no.
No, this isn't Texas. This is, you can, as I was saying here when we looked at, looks like we got a small update here too. And I was saying, like, is there a possibility that, you could have, it's such a crowded field here that the winning number in this race, could be like the lowest ever to win a congressional primary. And then in a district like this, overwhelmingly Democratic, to win a congressional seat. So Ford, was running at 23.6%. I remember one in Boston in 1998. It was when Joe Kennedy left the House. And it was a scenario like this, urban area, overwhelmingly Democratic. How often do these seats come up? Tons of ambitious politicians. 22% was the winning number in that race. Mike Capuano, remember him? He served like 20 years in the House. He won that race. It was an upset. He beat the former mayor of Boston, Ray Flynn, back from his stint as ambassador to the Vatican. Capuano upset him. So 22%. So if Ford were to win this, or Conyers Irvin, and come under 22%, then I'd have to go and see if there's been anything smaller than that. Do we have more?
Yeah, one thing from our chat. It's our colleague Ben Camazar in the DC bureau.
Yes.
He just puts a little note in advocating or saying we need to get Illinois to give us precinct results. He wants to know how areas closest to the great deep dish pizza places of the greater Chicago area are voting. So that's one plug for maybe additional results out of Chicago.
Can you ask Ben, because they will eventually make the precinct results available, can he put a deep dish vote map together for us?
That's a good idea.
Because I'd like to have that to refer back to. But yes, it's a limitation of these. Of the way they do elections in Illinois, unfortunately. In a lot of states, they give you the results in real time by precinct. And what that means is you can look inside a gigantic county like Cook County, Will County, any of these counties, and you can look at a municipality. And you kind of know the demographics of the different municipalities. You know whose political base each one is a part of. And it becomes, I think, a lot clearer, a lot quicker who's having a good night and who's having a bad night. Unfortunately, you don't get that data real time in Cook County, in the suburbs, or in the city of Chicago. We will eventually get it. We will eventually have, if you follow this stuff like on social media or something, you will probably a week from now see some amazingly detailed maps breaking down how the vote broke in the Chicagoland area by different demographic groups. But you're not, unfortunately, going to see that tonight. And I think it complicated the picture for us a little bit, but I will say only a little bit, in less than I thought it was going to, because that division we were showing you over and over in the Senate race there between Chicago and Cook suburbs was, the picture that painted was just so clear and so consistent. I thought coming in the night that Krishnamurthy would be winning the suburbs by a very good margin, and it would be a real tough kind of math game to figure out which one was going to add up to more, the city of Chicago for Stratton or the suburbs for Krishnamurthy. Again, the last we checked, she was ahead in the suburbs too. So that ended up, the fact that she was competitive in the suburbs, that was, when we saw that and it wasn't changing after 120,000 votes, I think we knew where it was going. What else we got? Anything?
People want to know when the next race is.
When is the next race, Adam?
I think April 7th. I think we'll do the conclusion of Georgia 14, and we'll see what else is going on.
The Georgia runoff.
That's right.
In the Trump plus 37 Northwest corner. No, I got to sell it. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. But we're going to do these. Maybe we should just put a schedule up for the rest of the year. We're going to be doing these, well through the summer. Do you know when the last one is? The very last primary?
We go well into August.
Yeah, we're doing this into August. I'm not taking a summer vacation this year, folks. I don't really ever take one. No, it's not true. Sometimes I do. But we're doing these for, we're looking for every reason we can to do this kind of thing. I love getting to do this. I love getting to look at these maps take shape. Adam's just looking at the schedule there, but we'll put the schedule out.
August 18th, Florida.
August 18th, Florida. Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And who knows? We got special elections that come up. April 21st, right? Virginia?
21st,
yeah, that's
16th, New Jersey 11.
Right. So it's not just primaries. The special election to fill Mikey Sherrill's seat in New Jersey. We'll do that April 16th. The redistricting referendum in Virginia, we'll do that April 21st. So we got a lot more of these. These have been great fun. I'm sorry, I owe you guys an apology, because I kept saying all day online, if you were watching, send comments, send questions. We're gonna figure out a way to integrate this more into because I know you guys are if you're watching this, you're really into this, and you're you got interesting thoughts on it, and just I want to kind of incorporate that more, so it's not just it feels different or something. But I think we'll wrap it up there, because I think it might be a while on what's still outstanding. Oh, there's the music. That is the music. So, thank you guys for watching. Again, leave comments about what worked, what didn't. Put them in Twitter. Put them on this. I do want to see that feedback. It's so helpful. You gave us some good stuff last week. Just tell me more stuff that works, that doesn't work, and all of that. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.